I heard footsteps upstairs. I live alone and don't have a second floor. The sound started on a Thursday night around 11 p.m. I was watching Netflix on my laptop, sprawled across my couch in the small ranch house I'd been renting for 6 months. The place was perfect for me, single story, 2 bedrooms, quiet neighborhood. No upstairs neighbors to worry about, no shared walls with inconsiderate people. That's why the footsteps above my head made no sense. Thump, thump, thump. Slow, deliberate steps moving across what should have been empty air above my living room ceiling. I muted my laptop and listened. The footsteps continued, pacing back and forth in a measured rhythm, like someone walking the length of a room. I stepped outside and looked up at my roof. Single-story ranch, just like I remembered. No second floor, no attic access from the outside, just shingles and gutters under the streetlight. When I came back inside, the footsteps had stopped. I convinced myself it was pipes settling or maybe an animal in the crawl space, though the sounds had been far too regular, too heavy for anything but human feet. I cranked up the heat and went to bed, telling myself old houses make weird noises. The footsteps returned the next night. Same time, same location, same deliberate pacing above my living room. This time I grabbed a flashlight and checked every inch of my house, inside and out. No attic access, no second story, no logical explanation for sounds coming from directly above my ceiling. I called my landlord the next morning. Footsteps? Frank sounded genuinely confused. That's impossible. The house is single story, built in 1987. There's nothing above your living room except roof joists and insulation. Could someone be accessing the roof? The only way up there is a ladder, and you'd hear someone climbing. Plus, walking on those old shingles would sound completely different. More like sliding and scraping. But I was hearing distinct footsteps. Not shuffling or scraping, the clear sound of shoes against a solid floor. Frank agreed to check it out. That afternoon, he brought a ladder and climbed onto the roof while I waited inside. Through the ceiling, I could hear him moving around, and it sounded nothing like the footsteps I'd been hearing. His movement was tentative, with the soft compression of feet testing unstable surfaces. Nothing up here but standard roof construction, he called down. No way anyone could walk around like you described. That night, I set up my phone to record audio. At exactly 11:17 p.m., the footsteps began. I played back the recording the next morning, but it captured only ambient house sounds, the hum of appliances, settling wood, distant traffic. No footsteps. Yet I'd heard them clearly for 23 minutes. I started staying up specifically to listen. The pattern never varied. Footsteps would begin somewhere between 11:15 and 11:20 p.m., pace back and forth above my living room for 20 to 30 minutes, then stop abruptly. Always the same measured rhythm, like someone deep in thought, working through a problem. A week later, the footsteps changed location. I was in my kitchen making a late dinner when I heard them directly overhead. The same deliberate pacing, but now above the kitchen instead of the living room. I grabbed a broom and tapped the ceiling sharply 3 times. The footsteps stopped. After a moment of silence, I heard 3 deliberate thumps from above, tap, 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 in the exact rhythm I'd used. My blood turned to ice. Whatever was up there had responded to me. I tapped 4 times. 4 taps came back. 5 taps. 5 in return. Then the footsteps resumed, but now they were moving in a pattern that seemed to follow my movements through the kitchen. When I walked to the refrigerator, the steps above moved in the same direction. When I returned to the stove, they mirrored my path exactly. I ran to the living room. The footsteps followed overhead, staying directly above me. That's when I realized something that made my skin crawl. The person upstairs wasn't just walking randomly, they were shadowing me. Learning my movements, my routines, my habits. The next morning, I called Frank again. You need to get someone up there to check the roof space, I insisted. Something is seriously wrong. I told you, there's nothing. Then explain this. I played him a voice memo I'd recorded the night before, describing what I was hearing in real time. I'm going to prove to you that something is up there. Frank arrived that afternoon with a contractor who specialized in older homes. They cut a small access hole in my hallway ceiling and used a scope camera to examine the space above. Standard roof construction, the contractor confirmed, showing us the live feed on his tablet. Insulation, joists, electrical conduit. No flooring, no way to walk around up there. You'd fall right through the ceiling. But as we watched the camera feed, I heard the footsteps begin above my bedroom. Do you hear that? I asked. They looked at me with concern. Hear what? The footsteps were clear and distinct to me, but Frank and the contractor heard nothing. The camera showed only empty space between the joists, yet I was listening to someone walking around up there. I think you should see someone, Frank said gently. Maybe a doctor. Auditory hallucinations can be a sign of stress or, I'm not hallucinating. But even as I said it, doubt crept in. How could I be the only one hearing something so clear and obvious? That night, I decided to test my sanity. I placed flour on my living room floor in a thin layer, then positioned myself directly underneath where I heard the footsteps pacing. For 45 minutes, I listened to deliberate footsteps moving back and forth above me while staring at the undisturbed flour below. If someone was really walking around up there, the vibrations should have caused at least small disturbances in the powder. The flour remained perfectly smooth. But I could still hear every footstep clearly. I'm writing this at 11 p.m., waiting for tonight's episode to begin. I've come to accept that I'm the only one who can hear them, but that doesn't make them less real to me. Hallucination or not, the footsteps follow a pattern, respond to interaction, and seem to be learning my behavior. It's 11:16 p.m. now. They just started. But tonight is different. Tonight, the footsteps aren't just above my living room or kitchen. They're on my stairs. The stairs I don't have, leading down from the second floor that doesn't exist. They're getting closer.